It is to no one's surprise that Texas is the #1 state for inbound moves in the country. With that being said, Central Texas attracts a lot of relocators. The Austin Metro alone added 60,000 people between 2023 and 2024, and the majority of those people are young professionals and growing families. But just because it's common doesn't mean that it's easy. Moving to the Austin area can feel overwhelming, especially if you're relocating with young children or you're planning on growing a family. There are a lot of factors that go into whether you like where you live, and that includes commute times, which we'll get into in a little bit, whether you want space, whether you care about how noisy it is where you live, whether you care about schools and school ratings, or just how the school feels, and most importantly, safety. If those are things that you care about, hopefully this video will help clear up some questions that you have. Hi, I'm Kendra. I'm a mom, a landlord, and a real estate agent serving Austin and San Antonio and everywhere in between. I know how nerve-wracking it can be because I myself relocated here for professional reasons. I used to teach 8th grade science for 6 years, but that is a story for another day. Now I help growing families find turnkey homes in between Austin and San Antonio, or as I like to call it, the corridor. Again, this video is meant to give you a clearer picture on where you might want to live in the Austin area. Now, before we move on, it's important that we talk about everyone's favorite topic, traffic. And I'm sure you've heard by now that 10 miles in Austin, Texas does not mean 10 minutes. Just like every big city, commute times vary based on time of the day, whether you're near schools, whether you're using toll roads or not, and specifically where you live. All of these factors can take a toll on your day-to-day life and really impact where you decide you want to live. So when you're choosing where you want to live, it's important that you think about what time you want to wake up in the morning, what time you want to get home from work, and just how much time you want to spend in your car or how much time you're comfortable with. With that being said, let's get into it. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 different areas that I think can serve families really, really well. Now, let's say that it is your dream to be in the mix. You want access to Lady Bird Trail, Lady Bird Lake. Maybe you like, what is it called when you stand up on that little like surfboard thing? You like going for long walks and having access to shopping centers and coffee shops and restaurants and the nightlife, and you like that vibrancy, then maybe you should consider downtown Austin. Downtown Austin is full of young professionals who value an active lifestyle. It has a lot of high-rise condos, mid-rise residential units, as well as apartment complexes that truly put you right in the heart of the city. Rent in downtown Austin can range from the low 3,000s for a small 1-bedroom apartment to pretty expensive units depending on bedroom count and square footage. If you are more interested in buying in downtown Austin, you can find condos upwards of $500,000 and getting into the multi-millions depending on the building and the view and the square footage and the bedroom count as well. Regardless of what you're looking for, you can honestly expect to pay a pretty penny. But I will say that the lifestyle in downtown Austin is unlike anything that I've ever seen. If I was younger and childless, which I can't imagine, I might want to experience what living in downtown Austin and plugging into those communities could feel like. Well, I probably just exposed my age. But truly, there are tons of running clubs and workout communities, book clubs, women's groups, men's groups, just everywhere. So it's very, very easy to find and plug into a community. If that is something that is important to you, you also have access to all of the amenities that you could possibly want including activities on Lady Bird Lake. Now, let's say that your job is taking you a little bit further north Austin, maybe Tech Ridge, maybe Round Rock, maybe the Domain area. Then in that case, a lot of people land in the suburbs of Cedar Park and Leander. So Cedar Park and Leander are located just northwest of Austin. They both have a quieter, more structured feel to them, but I will say that Cedar Park is home to more young professionals, where Leander has a little bit of an older population. Also, I think it's important to note commute times. So from Cedar Park to Austin, you're looking at about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on time of day, whether school is just in or just out, and whether you're using the toll roads. If you tack on 10 minutes to that, now you're looking at commute times for Leander. So Leander, I would say close, to 45 minutes to an hour into Austin, depending on traffic. But the good thing is that 183A toll road runs directly through both Cedar Park and Leander and was built specifically to bypass congestion. And once you're in Austin, you do have access to MoPac and the express lanes, and that can help shorten your commute time as well. Now, Cedar Park is largely served by Leander ISD, and they have highly rated schools per niche.com. But I always tell people that it's also important to think about the vibe of the school, right? School ratings are very, very important. I homeschool my son, but I was a public school teacher for 6 years prior to going into real estate full time and becoming a landlord and all of the things. And now I'm yapping. But I would say that it's important to look at the culture of these schools as well, and maybe their history as well. Now, in Cedar Park and Leander, you're going to find a lot of new construction and newer communities. You're going to find bigger homes on more spacious lots, and you're going to find a quieter nightlife and a lot of family-friendly parks and trails. In Cedar Park specifically, we love Brushy Creek Park for the skate park. But also there is a paved biking trail, which I thought was insane when we first moved here, because I don't bike, but if I did, that would be really nice to have. So there is just a lot of family-friendly areas and parks where getting out of the house just feels easy, which is very, very nice. If you are a part of a growing family, or maybe you're a homeschool mom like me who just wants to get out of the apartment sometimes. Overall, I would say that both Leander and Cedar Park are more structured, more quiet, more calm. They have more breathability to them and more space, and they do attract a lot of young professionals who don't want to lose total access to Austin. Now we're going to talk about my favorite, and I'm very biased here, my favorite city and where I live right now, Georgetown, Texas. You might have heard of it. Georgetown is a city with a very, very popular town square. It really has that hallmark feel to it, and as such, I would say that Georgetown really attracts young families who want that small town feel while still maintaining access to a bigger city like Austin. It is a 30-minute commute on I-35, but also bigger box stores. So you have your old town square with a lot of local shops and local boutiques and family-owned restaurant. And then you have across the way Wolf Ranch, which is a more modern shopping center where you have Best Buy and Kohl's and Target and Ulta and all of things that you could need. So I really think that Georgetown has a lot of versatility to it. It is just such an amazing city, and I am very biased. Sorry. But truly, me and Luke do love it here. There are a lot of family-friendly events that happen year-round. And when there aren't events going on, there are a crazy amount of parks and trails to choose from. Again, our favorite is the skate park at San Gabriel Park, but we also like it, or I also like it, because it has the river running through it. There's a lot of just empty space for you to take your kids out there and play football or soccer or whatever it is. It's not designated to one specific use or locked up in any way, in the way that a lot of baseball fields and football fields are. So it just feels really nice and there's a ton of playscapes. I mean, you just really can't go wrong with Georgetown, Texas, in my opinion. Now, it is north of Austin, does have some higher priced homes. You are going to have some really nice resale homes in the downtown area with a more historic feel, and then some nice resale homes a little bit further out. They are going to be a little bit higher price. The average price in Georgetown right now, I believe, is $400,000. But you do have a lot of new construction communities as well, where builders are offering those same incentives with closing costs paid and appliances included, maybe some down payment assistance. I think right now we're really seeing builders make a push and really bringing back a lot of those incentives now that Christmas has kind of passed. So we're starting to see things heat up again, which is very exciting. Now, one last thing that I think is super cool, Georgetown is also home to the first 3D printed community in Texas, I believe. They are built by Leander, which I'm going to be honest is not my favorite builder. Alfred, if you see this, I'm sorry. But the quality of those 3D printed homes really is something else. It has a very industrial feel to it with the concrete flooring and the concrete 3D printed walls and the metal roofs. Not every home is exactly alike. So I think that's really nice too. So if you're just looking for something more modern and interesting, that could be a really nice community to check out. And I think from that 3D printed community in Wolf Ranch to Austin, you're looking at about 35 to 40 minutes. Because in that Wolf Ranch area, there's just a little bit of traffic depending on the time of day. So now we're going to head south. So let's say that your job is taking you to South Austin, but maybe you don't want to live in South Austin, then Buda and Kyle are really, really good cities. They're actually growing really, really fast because they do hold that lower price point when you still obviously have access to Austin. Now, another thing that I hear people love about these cities in particular, Buda and Kyle, is that you have access to San Antonio through 35. So you don't have to drive. Like, for example, when I have business in San Antonio, I have to drive through Austin or I go around on the toll, which I don't really like doing. I prefer to drive through Austin. I just think it's nice. I like personally driving through Austin, even if there's a lot of traffic, and seeing downtown and the Capitol building. Okay, I'm yapping. But Kyle and Buda are nice because you have access to Austin, but you also have access to San Antonio, or quicker access rather to San Antonio, because you don't have to drive through Austin. In these cities, there are a lot of new construction communities and master planned communities. So there is a lot of growth there. Builders are really, really pushing and making communities there because of the amount of people who are relocating to the corridor in between Austin and San Antonio. And it's interesting because I actually helped this family, quick little story time, helped this family that was set on being in South Austin in a resale home, point blank period. This is what they wanted. So this is what I was helping them with. We toured plenty of resale homes, maybe 7 resale homes, and they weren't all bad, but they did have a higher price point because they were in South Austin. And we were specifically looking in this one community where the school was the main attraction. The school ratings were amazing. The culture of the school was amazing. It was a highly desirable area specifically because of the school. I could tell that they didn't fall in love with anything, right? They were willing to sacrifice loving their home and paying a higher price to have their children in a good school system. But I did tell them, as your realtor, I do want for you to see all of your options before you settle on a house, because this is a huge investment. And so we did tour this one community in Buda called Sunfield. We toured builders and we looked at the deals. And when I tell you that they walked into a home, and this was the first time that I had seen any kind of emotion on my client's face, I think I knew, but I didn't say anything. And by the end of that tour, they were like, this is it. And it was just, it surprised them so much because it was a new construction community and it was a new construction home. Quality was really, really good. And that's where I think a lot of people get mixed up, is a lot of people think new construction homes now are literally, it's like construction paper in the wall. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. There are some builders that I would never recommend, but there are some builders who have good quality product. So I think it's important that you talk to your realtor about that and maybe explore, even if you're dead set on something, maybe explore all of your options just to be safe. I love those clients. We still have play dates till this day. They are amazing humans, and I am so happy that they were able to find their dream home and still be in a very, very, very good school district and school system. So know all of your options is the point I'm trying to make there. Now you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I do want to get into New Braunfels, Texas. Kendra, that is so far away from Austin. Why are you suggesting that to me? I have seen where people who are relocating to Austin for work like remote, or they'll do like a week remote and then 2 days in the office, or the majority of their work is remote. They need to have access to Austin, to the office or, their company, but the majority of their work is done at home. And New Braunfels just gives you, it is the midpoint in between Austin and San Antonio. It's about a 45-minute to an hour drive from New Braunfels to Austin. It's a little bit closer to San Antonio, but I have had some clients who moved to New Braunfels because they're relocating for work and they need to be near Austin for work, but they have family in San Antonio. Okay. And I just think that New Braunfels is a really cute, I don't want to say quaint, because it's not a small city by any means, but it has little pockets that just feel very hill country, very quaint, very charming. You have green, which is in New Braunfels city limits, but it's kind of like its own little town. It is a tourist destination. It is so cute. We visit as often as we can because you just get this feeling when you go there. I don't know how to explain it. New Braunfels is also home to the river where people float. So when you think about Austin, you think about Lake Travis and wakeboarding and boating. And when I think about New Braunfels, I think about that more calming, relaxing weekend where you take your tubes out and maybe an ice chest, cooler, and some snacks and some drinks, and you go float down the river. That is such a large draw for a lot of people, especially people with growing families who like that lifestyle, that hill country lifestyle, that greenery, that scenery. I just think you can't really go wrong unless you absolutely do not want to commute. And I've met some clients like that as well. So it really is just preference. And I thought I'd mention it because it really has this German twang on the town. You have festivals like Wurstfest. I'm sure you've heard of it. And it's just fun. New construction there is nice. The resale homes in New Braunfels are very, very nice. You have access to both major metros, Austin and San Antonio. So you can skip on down to the San Antonio Zoo and then the next weekend go out to the lake in Austin. I just think it's a very versatile city with a very, very good middle location. Now, just a quick note before I wrap up this video, I think it's important to always think about the culture of where you want to live. Each one of these areas and cities has a different culture. It's why two people can move to the same city and have very different experiences. I just think it's important to look at the things that are important to you specifically. Really look inward. It's very easy to be influenced about what somebody else likes and wants and does and has that might not meet our own needs. So really think about what it is that you want and the lifestyle that you want to live and the things that you're willing to sacrifice, because let's be honest, everywhere there's going to be sacrifice. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. There is truly no best place to live in Austin. The best place to live is where you are happy. And I think that that is also very, very important to remember. If you want help narrowing down where you would like to live, my contact information is in the description box below. You'll find my phone number and my email address. You can text me or email me or call me. Also, keep an eye out for next week's video. I'm going to be getting into some depth. Be so kind as to follow and subscribe. I'm going to be giving as much value as I possibly can. I cannot wait to hear from you. We'll see you here next week.